Why is it so hard for my kids to eat healthy? Do you cook two different meals at dinner? And what do I do once I realize that I want to reverse the bad habits of my kids' nutrition? I'm Mike Wilson. I'm the owner at CrossFit OYL. We've been open for 10 plus years in Haslet, Texas. I'm the dad of a 5 and 6 year old. And this is a real story. These are examples from my real life on a day to day of what we do in my household, how we have reversed some of the ways that our kids have eaten, and how we reverse some of the ways that we eat, my wife and I, in our own life. So let's hop right in. So today is inspired by a progress session. So we sit down minimum every 3 months, sometimes more often, depending on which membership plan someone's using. But here at OYL, we sit down minimum every 3 months. Somebody does an InBody scan. We'll look at their numbers. Basically, it's a breakdown of their muscle versus fat. We want, right, muscle growing, fat going down. And that's kind of the springboard of how we start to talk about nutrition, right? So we'll talk about stuff from, like, attending class and strength training. We'll talk about water, steps. We can talk about protein, calories, macros. Like there's a whole conversation completely different per person. But we have that conversation one-on-one, 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the person. And so I got this one really specifically about a month ago, and I've had it pop up a bunch since, which means people are thinking about it. And I just want to hop in and add my 2 cents. So maybe I need some sort of disclaimer of I'm not a doctor or some kid's nutrition, but whatever. I think we're all past that at that point. This is a story about my life. Okay. I also saw something yesterday. I was like, oh, this is so perfect to add into the front end of this. My friend Braden, he's the owner at Unicus Athletics, CrossFit Argyle in Argyle, Texas, about maybe 30, 40 minutes up the road from us. But he posted something yesterday, and I think this is the perfect lead in, the first belief I want to break for you guys when it comes to kids' nutrition. He posted a graphic that said, eating junk food does not equal enjoying life. And so his kind of point, I felt like this was more aimed towards adults specifically, but he talked about the concept just really briefly in a caption of a lot of times people are looking forward to the weekend, or they have these habits set up for themselves, to lose weight or something like that, but it's this end goal in mind, and they feel like they're restricting themselves. Right. And so that's one of the things that we don't like talking about here is we don't like the concept of a diet because it's a very restrictive word. Words are really big for us. And so one of the things that we talk about, and kind of spoiler for halfway through this, is chasing nutrients, right? So we're not dieting, we're chasing nutrients is one of the ways we like to look at it. But what Braden was kind of saying was, again, a great way to kick this one off is like, by telling your kids no to Oreos or Cheetos or junk food, or having them having a different lunch at the lunch table, that's not holding them back from enjoying life. I think that's one of the pushbacks I get a lot of times is people will be like, oh, well, or, this specific example I was talking about, like eating dinner, and we were going over meals and stuff and how to meal prep, blah, blah, blah. And the adult was like, okay, so like, what do you do for your kids though? Like, because they're not going to eat that. So I cook them a different dinner. And like, I don't know, man. I'm sure there's some differences, but as a whole, I mean, above 98%, they probably don't need to be eating anything differently than we are, right? Like if we're trying to grow our bodies and grow muscle and increase bone density and be healthier and happier and live this longer life and be present for our kids, like, aren't they trying to do the same thing? And if they're not, they're going to be here in 30 years, aren't they? Right. And so like, why would they be eating something different? Not even talking about what the different thing is, but just on principle, like why would they be doing or eating something different than the adult, or vice versa? And so if anything, it's even more important. I don't know. I don't know how to say which one is more important or not, but like their growing bodies, like we're literally creating them. I know we make this joke all the time, or I've seen, there's tons of funny memes and, out there about, mom being pregnant, what she's eating is like, this baby was built from Cheetos and Dr. Pepper. And it's like, haha, the meme, but like that kind of stinks, man. Like, cravings, nausea, different story, not really, not the topic of today, but like, if you're creating a human, it's getting created out of something, right? And so we want to create we want what's best for our kids. And so we want to create it out of the best possible things. And so, outside the womb, they're here in our house. We raise them. We send them to school with lunch. We get food on the go with them. We bring food where we're going. All those types of things. Like we, for the most part, get to choose how their bodies are built from age, kind of negative 9 months up to, I don't know, we're probably not into the teens until they're truly making some of their own decisions. I know they can go out and sneak candy or whatever, but like the majority of their food, like we're not until the teens until they're like really providing for themselves. And, probably if they're under your roof, you're still probably in control of what they eat, right? You can just not have it in the house. And so, anyways, that's kind of my intro and where I wanted to kick off and what inspired today. Let's go all the way back to kind of towards the beginning. And so this is a story about my life. We have two kids. Our daughter is 6 and our son just turned 5, couple weeks ago, I guess 3 weeks ago. And I would say, and this is pretty honest and vulnerable, I would say they both eat very differently. Like one of them, my daughter, seems to be easier to convince her to eat healthy food, right? Meats and vegetables type of thing. And our son, definitely more difficult. He's very resistant. I think personality plays into this for sure. He's very calculated. Wouldn't know where he gets that from, but he's very calculated and thinks about it, and it's got to be a reason. And no, I don't like that. I don't want it, right? But if I'm being completely honest with you, if we rewind all the way back to when they were babies, even in the womb, having our daughter, that was our first. So just generally our household nutrition choices were better, right? When my wife was pregnant with him, or with her, when she was born, same thing. We got to 6 months, started introducing real food, right? And, we let her gnaw on steak and chicken and soak up the juices of the iron and, like all that type of stuff. We introduced a lot of real food. There's so many things I would do over again, so many. But like as a whole, like we really tried. I thought we did pretty good with it. And my daughter's foundation for nutrition, she loves meat. I mean, she likes like pink and sparkly and birthday cake looking things, but it's almost like just because the color, like I don't even know, like she does like the sugar, but like she eats so much meat. I could just put meat in front of her and that's all she would eat. But with my son, like honestly, like, at that time, the gym was in a much more stressful moment in the gym. Just in terms of growth and where we were at, us personally on the financial side, we were stressed. It was just, the reality of us having a second kid, like that is more stressful, right? And when we got to his kind of 6-month mark and we're introducing real food to him, like, if I'm being honest, and this is the vulnerable part, we didn't try as hard as we did on the first. And so I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm not saying we messed him up forever. Like that's not what I'm saying here, but like it does make me wonder. Like I do rewind all the way back and I'm like, yeah, like it was a bigger priority in the early developmental years of those taste buds and them learning and stuff like that. There was a difference between our two kids. And so, and definitely as we've gotten through the years, it's, we've been, more tired or more lazy with, 2 kids versus 1 kid. Right. And so we've definitely let stuff slip. And that's something that, I have to admit to, and we have to admit to, but, I tell that hopefully there's people out there that can identify with that. And hopefully that's why you're still listening. And I want to go over stuff that we've done to kind of reverse that on this side of things. We're out of the newborn stage now and just, I don't know, that's the conversation I wanted to have today. And like, what does eating in the Wilson household look like for the kiddos? So, okay. This is very interesting. So we're doing, kids are doing baseball right now. They're both on the same team. And we've got, snack mom and snack dad after the games, right? They bring, a couple of parents made comments, as we were setting up the snack sign-up list of like, hey, my kid does no dyes. Please dye free when you guys bring snacks. That's great. I mean, we're huge fans of that. That's the train that we're on as well. But they said that. And so I went into the season being like, oh, cool. Like, this is what I do for a living, right? Is own a gym and talk nutrition. I was like, oh, cool. Like, let's see what types of food, kind of this average of like, we've got 2 of the kids on the team. So the other 10 kids, let's see what their parents kind of deem as, I wouldn't say healthy, like nobody committed to healthy snacks, but like let's see what they bring for snacks. And um, some okay, some different. I'm gonna get like super critical on it, but it was just very interesting to watch the different things of like, they were at least committed mentally to this no die concept because they knew that was bad, but like just the amount of sugar was insane to me. And so one of the first things I want to talk about, if you hear nothing else, you can tune out after this. I promise there's good stuff later, but this next one is to chase protein first. I think for the kids, it's even more important to make them not feel restricted, like they can't have something. I know as you're trying to convince a toddler of something, um, maybe the logic of like, hey, if you eat this, then you can eat that. That tends to work better in our family than, no, you just can't have that. Then they'll shut down completely and you don't get anything out of them. And so, I don't know. On the extreme side, this can end up being a bribe, which I don't think that's the proper way to parent, in my opinion. Um, but there's also this level of like, there's an order in which we eat our foods. And so it's silly, but sometimes we like number their snacks one, two, three. I did it one time a couple months ago just to kind of be silly because I don't know, they were driving me crazy. And I was just like, no, you eat number one, then you eat two, then you eat three. Like, stop asking. And then the kids ended up liking it. So it's like a fun game, but I literally numbered it of like the protein first, and then kind of like I wouldn't say a bad snack, more of the medium snack. And then the third snack that, yeah, it was maybe more of like a chips category type thing. That's fine. And so if you were to take one thing from this, it would be prioritize protein over everything else for your kids, no matter what that looks like. I don't know if that, for your family, I don't know if that means, sitting at the table and just sitting it out and waiting it out for a couple of days in a row and nights in a row and weeks in a row or months of, hey, we got to eat 3 bites of chicken before we can eat our mac and cheese. I'm not sure what your current food looks like right now, but just introducing some of that. And so, protein first is going to be the most practical thing I can say to get your kids moving in the right direction. Our kids can spend, a day with the grandparents or go to a birthday party or we, we let them have a treat or something like that. Or we go on vacation and we're like, yeah, get whatever you want. And like you kind of give them the freedom to get it. Every single time, both of our kids are like, man, dad, my tummy hurts. After they eat kind of some more of the junk food, it's like, my tummy hurts. And, or if they don't get that complaint, then they're just wild and running around, rambunctious, right? The sugar high, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And it usually takes us a whole day to come back down from, I would say like one slice of birthday cake, we could probably recover in 6 hours from. But like, if it's just like junk all day, it's going to take a whole day, if not 2 whole days, to get them to calm down. And even their sleep gets weird. That's when they wake up in the middle of the night. And so the way we do that is we literally just put as much protein as we possibly can in front of them. Doesn't even matter what particular kind. We don't discriminate on that. It's chicken, it's steak, it's yogurt, it's cheese, it's milk, or we call it chocolate milk in our house, but it's literally Thornton protein powder mixed in with milk. But like whatever it is that can reset our kids like crazy. And so I just want to encourage you, like it is possible to reset. It might feel like a fight at first, but even just getting some bites ahead of time, first before the other ones, try that if then statement. Okay. So that was the first thing. The other thing, I heard this on a podcast easily 10 years ago, maybe 11. I don't know. It's probably 10 years ago this summer, something in this range. And they're talking about a kid, kids and nutrition and stuff like that. And the advice was replace one thing at a time. And I held on to that for whatever reason. I don't remember anything else from the whole podcast. I held on to that for whatever reason. And as we've gotten, stuck in our own family or trying to replace stuff, that has been a very good way for us to kind of flip the script on the kids. And so if you completely try to go cold turkey, I'm throwing out everything in the entire pantry. We're only eating stuff out of the refrigerator that's green or used to make the sound moo. Like, that's a lot. And that's very shocking. Like, imagine if somebody did that to you, right? As opposed to make one swap. And so the example I remember from the podcast was Go-Gurt. They're like, hey, my kid has a Go-Gurt every day in their lunchbox at school. Okay, let's just address one thing. This week, we're going to do one thing. go to the grocery store, find an alternative. Greek yogurt is what I'm going to push. I have no idea the brand. I'm pretty sure we found it at Trader Joe's, but my wife found some Greek yogurt style things the other day, maybe a couple of weeks ago. And so those have been going in the kids' lunch boxes. And I don't even know if there's perfect. I mean, read the ingredients to make sure they're perfect yet, but like I know they're better than the main Go-Gurt brand. But just starting to move the needle just a little bit on one thing at a time and replacing it. I know there's stuff like, even like the chips out there. There's Boulder is the brand, but they make avocado oil chips. And so it's an avocado oil with, potatoes. And it's like, okay, like that's about how we bake them in the oven. I know one thing I tell the kids all the time is like, obviously, the kids love French fries, but baked potatoes, they're like, right? All of a sudden it's different. And, this works on the logic of my kids, but hey, this is a French fry, but it's just a different shape. And then they eat it. And it's like, so sometimes it takes these just small little swaps, one thing at a time, to get them, over the hump of them trying it, them actually eating it, all that type of stuff. But anyways, so the first one, protein first. Second one is replace one thing at a time. Another great thing in this category is something I don't want you to do is try to drink as little calories as possible. This is fantastic advice. All of this is fantastic advice for adults too, by the way. Drink as few calories as possible. If they are drinking something, it needs to probably any and all the time be water. Like just drink water. If they're having other stuff like Capri Suns and Gatorades, and even if it's Gatorade Zero, it just, I don't know, man. If you want what's best for your kid and you're building the best possible version of them, I'm just not convinced it's Gatorade Zero. I'm not saying I haven't given it to my kids. I'm not saying they didn't have it in their snack box at baseball 2 weeks ago, but like these are the things that go through my mind. And so again, if we can just make one change, one step at a time, like that's how we make progress. And so it's the same, again, same for adult fitness, but same for nutrition. And so protein first, replace one thing at a time. If you need a first thing to replace, make it be the liquids that they're drinking, replace those to water. That'd be phenomenal. Then after that, I would go after kind of some more like the snack foods, the stuff in the pantry that they're, just perusing, just grabbing and stuff like that. Ultimately, I know you can say that they're picky eaters, but you are the one that went to the grocery store, picked it up out of the aisle, and then you put it in the pantry, or you ordered pickup and you clicked on it on your app. You drove to the store, they put it in your car, or you got it delivered, and you still picked it up and put it in your pantry. All right. So let me get that myth out of the way as well. You are choosing this for your kids. They did not choose it. Now, they may have gotten used to a certain thing. And so when you take it away, they get fussy and frustrated. That makes sense. If I were to take away something that you were used to, you would also get fussy and frustrated. But you are ultimately the person that puts the stuff in the pantry. Maybe it's a spouse and you can have that conversation with them, but it's kids. You guys work together for the best of them. Okay. Option number 3, or kind of my practical point number 3, and we'll wrap this up pretty soon, is to eat at set times, not because you're bored. I'm not going to say this is one that we've like mastered. I don't know if we've mastered, like we eat the kids eat at school at their time, 11 or noon, and then we come home from school and they typically have a snack, and then we eat again at, I don't know, between 6 and 7. So I don't know, maybe we're better at that one, I realize. Plus breakfast is pretty much the same time. But eat at set times, not just because you're bored. I know this, this is what I'm taking from my childhood. This is what my mom said all the time. We'd be like, Mom, I'm hungry. And she's like, hey, I think you might just be bored. Drink a glass of water, eat an apple, and then in 30 minutes, come get me and we can have a conversation. And as annoying that was to hear, more times than not, I would just end up distracted and playing or doing my homework or playing outside or swimming or, whatever we were doing after I did those 2 things. And so a lot of times it was like, Mom, can I have something out of the pantry? And it was like more just bored. It's more that that habit of headed to the pantry to grab something than anything else. And so I think we can all agree that our kids, again, especially kind of my kids age 5 and 6, like they're very animal-like. They're very creature-like. They're creatures of habit, right? They're just doing what they're used to. Like they're not bad kids because they want sugar. They're not bad kids because they won't eat the green stuff on their plate. That's just what they're used to. They don't know any better. And there's only really one person or two people, mom and dad, that can really tell them better. And there's so much that we can't control of, like when they go to the school and like, yes, maybe they can be trading lunches at school and we don't know what to do. And like, that's a whole nother conversation for as they get older and all the other stuff that they can do, outside our control. But like we have, at least at my kids' age, I have so much control and influence over what they can eat. I know I'm going to get years down the road, look back at today and be like, man, I had such an opportunity there. What if I had them eat this way or eat that way or not this one way? And so I want to try to bring some of that future thought back to the present and see how can we think right now, right? Stephen Covey, being with the end in mind, like if that's where we want the kids going, like how can we plan that now? Okay. I think that's what I had for today. I had one more thing, but I forgot it halfway through. So maybe we'll just wrap it up there. And if I think of it later, it'll inspire the next one. Couple of things. Remember, let me hit your recap. Eating junk food is not enjoying life. Okay. You're not holding your kids back from their life, childhood of their dreams because they didn't get to, eat an entire lunchbox full of pantry items, right? Send them to school with meat. Send them to school with different versions of meat. There's all sorts of different kinds that get them there. Start it at home, but protein first. Replace one thing at a time. If you need an idea of what to start with water. And then the third one, try to eat at set times, not just because you're bored. Try something like water or a small, apple or something like that to push them off a little bit. And then, hey, we're eating dinner at this time. We want to form, just like adults, we want to form that habit of eating and form that habit of nutrition so that they can grow up one day to be adults. All right. Isn't that our goal? Let's do it, guys. Happy Wednesday. Have a good one. If you like this, comment, let me know. If you got other topics or ideas you want me to chat about, I'd love to help. And then, hey, if you're local to the Haslet, Rome, or just an area of Texas, we'd love to help you out in person. Find us online, OYLfitness.com, and we will talk then. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.